How's it going? I hope you're doing as good as I'm doing today. This is easily like the least locked in I have been in a minute. I'm not gonna lie. Today was a very big yap sesh with some lifts on the side. They're just some of those days where you just have a great time hanging out with the homies, and like the gym is basically my social hour. So if the people are there, I gotta give the homies the attention they deserve. But it is definitely my fault when it comes to my training that some of the clean and jerks were not favorable. You'll see them when you see them, but there were a couple of them where I didn't like catch it that strong, or I pushed forward slightly on my front foot just because I wasn't as explosive as I could have been. But whatever, coulda, woulda, shoulda, fuck it. It's all the what ifs don't matter. We will do better next time. I will take this. And, I got to also give myself credit for the good lifts I had, because I did have some pretty goddamn decent sets. And for this being volume week, 5 sets of 2 moving as quickly as it did, I'm pretty happy with that, But yeah, it's just a pretty good day, kind of like, not like it's in the middle. It feels like it's in the middle for my good days, like an average good one. So physically, I can give it a very, where are we going with that? I mean, it's hard for me to fucking off rip tell you this shit sometimes, because I know I was not locked in, especially on my clean and jerks. The front squats went better. Clean pulls went pretty good. But, I got to remember that when I talk about physically, I'm just talking about, like, my muscles and my form, So I guess overall, 7.95. I'm going to just leave it right on the fucking... 7.99. Let's just make it right on the cusp, because that's just where it is. Like, it definitely could have been an 8 or, like, closer to, like, an 8.3 type of day, but it's not. I wasn't locked in. It wasn't that explosive. I did bring it back for some of the working sets, so, got to give myself credit regardless. But we will do better next time either way. And I did feel really good. Like, it's not that it felt bad. When you're not locked in, especially when you have a rest day, that's way too much rest for what it's meant to be, a whole lot of doing nothing. Your core is not as, like, capable of landing in the cleans or the snatches sometimes, like that core confidence just isn't there, especially when you start, and when you yap for too long in between your warm-ups, it can take a toll. But anyway, today was fun, so I can't really be mad. Mentally, dude, I'll give it a solid 8.75. It was just a great day. I don't mean for it to be so much higher than the physical, but it's like, today was one of those days where I just kind of wasn't worried about the weights or the form or, how my program is going, whatever. I was just having fun with the boys, and not just the boys. The boys can also be the women. But it was just fun. Everybody was there. Everybody was uplifting each other. Nobody was pissed off about anything in their outside life. Nobody was having a shit day when it came to the lifts. I had a friend of mine that hasn't done Olympic lifts in a long while, and she just came back from a tough time being sick for a couple weeks, and she fucking killed it. She did really good on her Olympic form after, like, she did it once and fucked it up, and she was like, oh, I've been jumping forward for so long, it's like, whatever. And we were like, oh, well, like, this is what we did to correct that. And she just did it on the spot, which is impressive on its own. Like, that's a fucking feat if you can improve an Olympic lift right there on the spot. It normally takes several sessions of just consistent training. So it's always cool to see, and it makes me more inspired to keep doing this shit. But, I guess transitioning to what I want to talk about, my good homie Desmond was like, hey, man, how you been? I love that question, because people do not realize how important it is to be asked how you are. Not like, how are the lifts? How's the job? How's whatever in your life? Sometimes just, how are you? In general. Tell me whatever. And, I went off to him a little bit. Like, I talked to him about, like, some of my family situation, like, some of it's shit, it's not where I would like it to be, but I'm still doing great myself. I love where I'm at. I'm doing really good by myself, keeping myself in a positive environment and keep being as positive as I can. And the family that are doing well and don't have all the issues are doing great, which I love. And I was like, oh yeah, sorry, like, I didn't mean to, like, it's not even trauma dumping, because I'm not traumatized. It's just like, I guess, like, I've gotten over the trauma, but it's more like I was just kind of just spewing what's going on. It's a full life rant for a little bit. And I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like throw all that at you at once. And he was like, dude, I asked. And I was like, oh shit. You did ask, and I very much appreciate you reciprocating, listening to what I wanted to talk about, So it's really, I tell this to people a lot, but it's really important if you feel like shit sometimes, or you just got stuff that you're not talking about enough that's limiting your mental health, then just, you got to find someone that you can talk to that won't judge you in any way, and you can not be worried about any social or personal limitations, and what, to the extent of how hard you can talk about stuff. That's why therapy is so great. Like, they're literally there to be an unbiased, neutral person that will just listen to everything you have to say, no matter what, take it in a positive way, and try to dish it back at you with some uplifting notions. And so anyway, I was talking about my dad a little bit, and like, there's been a lot of shit in the past and some more shit recently, but it's like, I was like, oh, it's really funny in retrospect to look back at the stuff like that, because like, it's nothing that hurts me, and it's like, I was literally laughing about it, even though it's more recent, and I was like, oh, I don't mean to joke about it, and it's like, I say this to people a good bit, and like, I know how I feel about it, but it's not so much that I think it's a joke, it's more that I can look back on it with positive hindsight, with good perspective, and it just makes me laugh, not because I think it's stupid, or I think it's a joke, or it doesn't matter, or whatever, or if it's laughable. It's the only reason I'm laughing, or I see it kind of in a joking way, is because I can see how far I've come. I look back at it, gives me perspective of my childhood, when I used to not be able to talk about this stuff, or I felt really shitty personally about it and hated the way that I interacted in such negative environments, because I thought that I wasn't doing enough, or certain things were caused by me being there. And then over time, you try to be, obviously time does not heal wounds. It's the effort that you put in during that time, trying to be as positive as you can, and putting yourself in good environments that will uplift you in the long term, doing things that increase your amount of passion every day, just loving your daily life, as I'm always talking about. But it's really cool to look back and be like, damn, this was like one of the most traumatic things I went through growing up, and now I can openly laugh about it to a homie like it's nothing. And again, it isn't nothing. It's just the fact that I can look at it from a fully positive perspective without any hate. I have no grudges. I'm not stuck up on anything that I didn't get to fully work out with that individual person. I'm just doing me and loving my own daily life, instead of worrying about someone else's daily life and how it may affect me. Because in reality, no one else's daily life or what they do should affect you. It's obviously tough when it's your parents, but especially when you get into adulthood, it's good to have enough distance. Not saying that you need to cut anybody out or stop talking to people, but everybody needs a certain level of distance if you can't communicate through a situation. I'm a full believer that you can communicate through anything, but the prerequisite every time is that both sides have to be fully open to communicating, and not just communicating, but communicating in a way that will mend or lead to the friendship or relationship being as together and positive as possible. It can't just be communicating about the negative shit and then not getting anywhere. So I've been in a situation where the communication doesn't work. We both feel completely oppositely about everything in the situation, and it really doesn't matter who's right or wrong. I don't care about that. It's just about whether or not we can make a situation where, if I want them in my life, then I need to be proactive in my own individual daily life and see what kind of a distance would be healthy, to where we don't butt heads, but we can also still interact in a positive way. So I don't see them that much anymore, which sucks. And I don't have the same relationship I did earlier in my life. But again, you can't look back on the past. You just got to live in the moment. It's just how shit is sometimes. So just, it's appreciating what you can have right now, I guess. Because, of course, I will hold those memories close that were good and positive from the past, and I'll never throw those away or think that they're not worth holding on to. But that's the whole point of the past. It's just perspective. And it should be as positive as you can make it to be, because that will lead to you having a more positive mindset about how you want to move on, or how you want to tackle these kinds of situations in the future with other people that you inevitably interact with in a similar way. Like, I've had similar interactions with my roommates, and it's not that we don't like each other, we just have different lifestyles, and we don't agree with certain things that affect our daily lives, And so we were like, okay, well, let's just give ourselves the distance we need. No, like, right and wrong doesn't matter. Everybody's just living the way they want to. We just need to make sure we be proactive in making our own individual daily lives as a positive environment as we can possibly make it. And sometimes that just means having certain people not be in it as much. It seems a little brutal, but just you got to be realistic about it. You want to be able to actually look at what you're doing in your daily life and say, I am proud and happy with what I did today and the way that I handled such situations, So again, it wasn't so much that I was like trying to make jokes because I looked at him and I was like, it's funny that I'm joking about this. Because like, I guess specifically the situation, I don't want to get like too hands-on because, personal shit, but it's also good to be open. But I found out that like after all the I've had like these certain people hold what is it? They'll just hold money above me, I guess, and be like, oh, well, I do this and this for you, so you just need to respect me no matter what and do what I say. And it's just like, yeah, like if we got to make sure we respect each other first, though. You can't just demand it through material needs sometimes. And if that's the way it's going to be, then I'd rather just live my own life, and that's okay. But I found out, like, after talking about how college is so fucking expensive and I need to respect the money they put into it, I found out my scholarships paid everything. And I know, like, it might be a little stupid on my part to not have looked into it sooner, but again, it's not something that I didn't think about, and I thought I knew the whole picture of it. And I found out that, like, they didn't pay a fucking dime. And I'm like, all right, come on. Like, you expect me to act a certain way for material goods that you didn't actually put forth, And regardless of the specifics, I don't give a shit. Because I'm not going to live with grudges. That'll just make my daily life worse. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's the situation we got, then this is the distance we need. That, it's trial and error to a point. But you got to start somewhere with, like, okay, if this is how we're going to be, then I need this much time to myself. You need to give your time to yourself, and we need to see each other. And sometimes it's good to have interactions with such type of people in public spaces or in social spaces where you're around a lot of other people, so it's not just one-on-one the whole time. Because some people just not that it's a matter of like someone can't keep their mouth shut or whatever, but just it's when you can't fully come together and compromise on a situation that you both feel either highly emotional or highly logical about, but can't, there's just not enough meeting in the middle, then you just got to make sure you just be honest with each other and just be like, all right, look, we tried. We can keep the relationship, sure, I'd love to, and I'm open-minded to getting closer in the future when we grow through our own experiences and do better things later on. But I gotta be able to do this daily life thing and look back at this experience with good perspective and laugh about it, Again, it's not a joke, but when you can look back at your past traumas and give it a little chuckle and be like, oh, that was silly. Not that it was childish, but it just shows how much you've grown, You're a whole new person now, and you're supposed to have that new perspective if you've gone through it and gotten the proper treatment or took care of yourself in the best way possible long term, It took a while, sure. There are things that I could have done better. But again, I said it at the beginning, coulda, woulda, shoulda, fuck it. It really doesn't matter. It's just, you can look back at the past all you want and regret, but it's just a waste of headspace. Don't regret. Just try to do better from now on. That's literally all life is. Just taking what you went through, throwing regret out the window, and just trying to do 1% better every day. So that's kind of all I got. This may have been a more of a emotional, philosophical video than I meant it to be, but it is what it is. Should be like how I do sometimes. I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about, and it was a really nice interaction, so I thought it was worth mentioning. But, I appreciate anybody who wants to stick around and hear it out. So let me know how your lives and lifts have been going. I'll be back tomorrow. We got some snatches and back squats, so I'm actually kind of excited for tomorrow. It'll be a lot more comfortable of a day compared to today, because 5x2 clean and jerks, 5x4 front squats, and 5x2 clean pulls is a lot of volume. But we'll be back at it. We're always going to come back with a positive mindset and just keep doing our thing. So let me know how you've been, and you'll see me tomorrow. See ya.